Hello, this is Mark Wildman of Wildman Athletica, and today we are going to work on our continuing series of basic kettlebell techniques. Today we are going to integrate a hand-to-hand transition with the clean so that you can learn to not put the kettlebell down. This video is part of a greater series of videos that is designed to teach people kettlebelling from the ground up. All the basic 6 techniques, step by step, drill by drill, so that people can self-coach and learn at home. We have been working on kettlebell clean drills, which are key to learning all of kettlebelling. If you can't do kettlebell cleans and you have a hard time doing clean and press, clean and push press, clean and jerk, or snatch, which are your core fundamental athletic conditioning drills in kettlebell training. We have built up the clean over a bunch of little steps. Today we are going to go from our swing clean that we worked on in the previous video, where we use hip snap to drive the kettlebell, and we are going to work on adding in a hand transition from our hand to hand single arm baby swing. We are still going to pick up the kettlebell with 2 hands to get to our rack position. This is a learning technique for people who are new to kettlebells so that they can start in the correct position before they do the clean. Step up to your kettlebell 2 feet pointed straight ahead, kettlebell directly between the insteps of our feet. We want to have our feet pointed as straight ahead as possible, because later on we will integrate these into stepping forward and stepping back techniques. 2 hands on, left hand hooks, the L of my hand goes to the L of the kettlebell, hook underneath, other hand supports. Get it up to our rack position. Fingers point straight ahead, kettlebell down at a 45-degree angle. L of the hand to the L of the kettlebell, elbow close to hip, thumb at collarbone height. Pin the elbow to the hip, push the kettlebell back to clean. Push back, clean, pause. Make sure your kettlebell is in a good position at the top. If this position is not good, you will not be able to endure over time. 3 total reps. Rep 2, push back, catch. Rep 3, push back, catch. Now we are going to add in our transition, hand to hand. Push back, thumb up, thumb down, other side. Pause, adjust the kettlebell as necessary, pin the elbow to the hip, push back, absorb with the legs, stand all the way up, pin the elbow to the hip, push back, stand all the way up. Hand transition, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Pause, do 3 reps. 1, adjust bell, 2, adjust bell, 3, adjust bell, hand transition, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. 3 reps. 1, 2, 3, adjust the bell each time if necessary, hand transition, down, up, down, up. Push back, up, down, up. Pause, grab with the other hand, straighten both arms out, set the kettlebell down with good technique. We are starting and finishing the drill with 2 hands on the bell. Pick it up with 2 hands so that we can start from the best possible rack position with everything in place. In future videos, we will integrate a single hand pickup and put down. Every time you do a rep, pin the elbow to the hip. As the arm comes out, roll the thumb in, point the thumb back until the arm is perfectly straight. The interior of your forearm will end up contacting the inside of your leg. When you stand up with the hips. That will drive the kettlebell up. As it comes up, it is not a bicep curl. The kettlebell should float from the movement of your hips, become light, and then you can catch in the rack position. Each time, if you are not catching correctly, adjust the kettlebell. Every single time. If you start the negative, over time you will learn how to do the positive part, the actual up part, better and better and better. The hand transition cues are down, up, down, up. We start from up. As we go down, thumb rolls in, thumb points back, arm is straight. Absorb, kettlebell super close to your body. Stand up. Swing the kettlebell up, roll your thumb up to create space on the other side of the bell for the other hand. Thumb is up, thumb points down, down, and then up. Pin the elbow to the hip, catch at collarbone height. Down, up is the thing that you need to work on when you're doing this drill. If you have to say down, up aloud to remind yourself, say it aloud. Saying a lot of these coaching cues aloud will A, slow you down, B, make sure you actually know where you're supposed to go. If you cannot say all the steps of the movement, then you probably don't know what's next. Say it aloud. That is an athletic skill, and that is how you can program yourself to do all the steps every time. In the beginning, start with doing a set of 3, transition, set of 3, transition, and end up with the weight back in the hand it started in. Always start with your weak hand first, your non-dominant hand. If your non-dominant hand can do it, your dominant hand will be fine. We would like to finish with the dominant hand because overall it will allow us to remember all of the exercise technique better in our mind, which will make us more likely to do it in the future. We are trying to train to succeed, not to train to fail. Do multiple sets every time you work on this. Pick it up with 2 hands, 3 reps. Change hands, down, up, other side. 3 reps, change hands to get back to the original side. Put it down with good technique with 2 hands. Take a minute-long break and add another set each time you do this and build up your volume over time. The more catches in rack position you do, the better your overall technique becomes, the better you can get at all of your kettlebell movement patterns. Hello, this is Mark Wildman of Wildman Athletica, and today we are going to introduce the single arm overhead kettlebell press. You make your body the bench with a kettlebell press. You start from the legs, you squeeze your quads, you make your legs perfectly straight, you drive down through your heels. You squeeze your glutes. The glutes drive the press. Then you pull your belly button towards the spine. Let's build our press on top of our rack position, which we have learned in previous videos. Step up to your kettlebell until the kettlebell is directly between the insteps of your feet. We're gonna pick it up with 2 hands. Take the L of your hand to the L of the kettlebell. Get your hand all the way up in the corner. Other hand wraps underneath. Pick it up to our rack position. Thumb at collarbone height. Forearm vertical. Our grip should be at 45 degrees. We are not doing a barbell grip. It will compromise our wrist and it will make pressing harder and harder and harder. Wrist perfectly straight. Let's start by opening the other arm out to the side. And for now in the beginning, let's squeeze this other hand to create as much tension as possible. Open the shoulder, press all the way up to lockout. Bring the weight down. Elbow back to hip, thumb back to collarbone height. Open, press, pull the weight down. Pause. The kettlebell is in front of our body. We should squeeze the muscles on the opposite side of our body to support our spine. So if it's in your left hand, focus on squeezing your right glute. Open, press to lockout, bring the weight all the way down. When you set it down, grab with the other hand for now, straighten both arms all the way out, set the weight down with good technique. The press seems like a simple exercise, but in order to do a kettlebell press with heavier and heavier weights, you need to build a strong foundation. Strong foundation is the same as it is for swings, the same as it is for cleans. Point your feet generally straight ahead. If your legs are bent, straighten them out. Drive down through your heels. Straighten them all the way out. If your tailbone is tucked, tuck it underneath. Squeeze your glutes as hard as you can. That helps you engage your abs. Your goal is to flex your abs the entire time. We are building a foundation to support our spine. With the weight on one side, our body wants to be pulled one way. Fight back by making the rest of your body tense. Problems that people will have. In the beginning, they will press up in front of their body and they will lean back. The kettlebell has a weight behind, so it will help you learn to stand all the way up. If your elbow is bent, straighten your legs, squeeze your glutes, and drive with that tricep as hard as possible. Now let's demonstrate it quickly with the other side. The L of the hand goes to the L of the kettlebell. Pick it up to our rack position. Our handle is down at a 45-degree angle. Forearm is vertical. We are avoiding the barbell wrist because at the top, it will make it hard for people to lock out their elbow. Get it to the correct position each time. Wrist flat, thumb at collarbone height. Open, press to lockout. If the weight is in front of you, drive your arm back, push your chest through. Do not accomplish that by lifting our chest up or letting our glutes relax. Squeeze the glutes, drive the rib cage down, straighten out the arm as hard as possible. Bring the weight down, fold it in. Open, press, drive the weight back, squeeze the glutes. Pull the weight down, fold it in. Open, press, bring it down, fold it in. Straighten your arms out, set the kettlebell down with good technique. The goal of the beginning press is to keep our legs perfectly straight and our glutes on the entire time. We don't want our glutes to shut off at any point in the movement. In the beginning, start with sets of 3. Pick it up with 2 hands so you can make sure you're in the correct grip. Handle at 45 degrees. Elbow, wrist, knuckles in a vertical line. Open, press the lockout, push the kettlebell back, drive the rib cage down, squeeze the glutes. Do 3 reps, set it down, pick it up with the other hand to start another set. Do a set of 3 on day 1. When you're learning this, each time add another set. The next time you come back to do it, do 2 sets of 3. Then do 3 sets of 3. The next time after that, do 4 sets of 3. We want to keep our reps low so that we can focus on keeping our core contraction the entire time. If we take the reps up and we get tired, we start to lose our ability to focus on each individual core contraction. So add sets instead of reps. All advanced movements are based on you learning to achieve that lockout. Hello, this is Mark Wildman of Wildman Athletica, and today we are going to work on a drill to improve our kettlebell clean. We are going to do what's called the newspaper drill, but we don't have a newspaper, so we're going to use a book. In the beginning, we start by picking up our kettlebell with 2 hands so that we can get to our proper rack position. The rack position for kettlebells differs from the rack position for dumbbells. It differs from the rack position for barbells. So we focus on getting our kettlebell to our correct grip first. Then we are going to work on doing our swing clean. Then we're going to set it down. Then we're going to introduce something underneath our arm so that we make sure we're doing our clean correctly. In a previous video, we worked on stepping up to our kettlebell, feet pointed straight ahead, kettlebell directly between the insteps of our feet, pushing our hips back to get our knees behind the line of our toes. Pick up the kettlebell with 2 hands to start. Get it to our proper position. No gap between the L of our hand and the L of the kettlebell. Handle at 45 degrees down. That is our proper kettlebell grip. That allows us to lift the longest, which is the point of kettlebelling. Working on our swing clean, keep your elbow close to your hip. Point your thumb back. Use your hips to drive the movement. Elbow stays close to hip. Push back, drive up with the hips, catch. If you have to adjust here each time, adjust. This is important for all your future kettlebell endeavors. Push back, catch. Use 2 hands to set it down. People have a hard time understanding where to keep their elbow and how close to keep it to their body. So we used to do a drill called a newspaper drill, but people don't have newspapers anymore. So today we're just going to use a book. We're going to use My First Summer in the Sierra by John Muir. I don't know how to say this guy's name. This book is from 1869. Obviously this is a reprint, but this will work fine. Let's start. Your non-dominant hand, hold the book. Other hand, get down. Hook underneath. Get our kettlebell up to good position. Handle at 45, no gap in the corner. Take your book, put it underneath your elbow. Now that the book is pinned in place, don't let the book go. Push back, catch, push back, catch. If you need to adjust your catch each time, adjust your catch. Push back, and catch. Now, if you've kept your elbow generally in the same spot, you did not drop your book. That is how close we would like our elbow to stay when doing the kettlebell clean. Use 2 hands to put the kettlebell down directly between your feet. Stand up with good technique. This is not a drill you need to do all the time. This is a drill you only need to do in the beginning when you're learning kettlebells for the first time. You would get your book or magazine or whatnot in place. You would do 3 reps where you work on rolling your thumb in, pointing your thumb back, absorbing with the hips, standing up to drive the movement, and bringing your thumb back up. You would do a few sets of say 3 to 5 on each side if you are smacking yourself in the back of the wrist with the kettlebell. Common problem that people have in the beginning is they push the weight way too far out. They drop the weight too far down and they hit themselves when they try to do the catch. This is meant to help you learn to not hit yourself. Not hitting yourself is pretty important if you want to continue training. Every time you hit yourself, you build a negative association in your mind and you decide that you don't want to continue to do this type of training. Kettlebelling should not hurt. That is the point of all of these drills. It's to help people learn technique one small bit at a time so that they can build up their numbers so they can go up in weight, and then they can build complexity on top of it. You need to understand how to do your kettlebell clean in order to be able to do more advanced movements like the clean and press, the foundational movement of developing any athletic physique. Doesn't matter if you do it with dumbbells, kettlebells, or barbells, clean and press is a key athletic movement. So you should be very good at the clean. In order to be good at something like the Turkish get up, which is a fundamental kettlebell action where we learn to get up off of the ground, you also should probably be good at the clean. The rack position is very key to everything moving forward. So go ahead and try this drill a couple of times. Learn to make your cleans better, and therefore you will be able to endure longer and you will get more out of your kettlebell training in less time. Hello, this is Mark Wildman of Wildman Athletica, and today we are going to continue our basic kettlebell instruction series. We are going to work on picking the kettlebell up, doing a clean, and returning the kettlebell to the ground without getting hurt. This drill is very important. Most people get hurt after their kettlebell set is over, but before the weight touches the ground. They do a lot of twisting and flexing, and that gets them hurt. This drill is meant to teach us how to start in the correct position, do a clean, and end in the exact same position. All we are doing with this drill is drawing an athlete's attention to the start and the stop position. Start with the kettlebell directly between our feet, weight between the insteps. Let's step back from the bell 12 to 18 inches. Put your hands in the folds of your hip and push your hips back. Your knees should be behind the lines of your toes. We are going to take the L of our hand and we're going to put it in the corner of the kettlebell closest to our body. We're going to use our thumb, index finger, and middle finger to grab. The other 2 fingers are there for support. Thumb points towards the sky, thumb points down. Grab the corner nearest you, thumb, index, middle finger. Push the weight back, stand up with your hips to get to our clean position. In the clean, pull the kneecaps up, squeeze the glutes, drive the rib cage down. Keeping the elbow close to the body, we're going to push the weight back and then set it down directly where we picked it up. Push back, set down. Start again. Push back, get it up, push back, set down. Push back, get it up, push back, set it down. This is an important idea that we always start and stop the exact same way. This allows us to keep our spine flat and not do a bunch of weird rolling and flexing of the spine when setting the weight down. If you are an advanced athlete, people can get away with putting weights down in a bunch of different ways, but if you are new to kettlebelling, we want to reinforce the best possible technique in order to keep you, the athlete, pain-free so that you can continue your training longer so you can get what you want out of training. Let's demonstrate it with the other side. Thumb points up, thumb points down. Get to the corner of the kettlebell closest to you. Drive your shoulder away from the ear to fire the lat. Push the weight back. Actively push it back like you're hiking a football. Push back. Stand up with the hips. Catch. If you need to adjust the bell to get to our proper kettlebell grip, adjust the bell. Handle down at 45 degrees. The corner of my hand is directly in the corner of the bell. Push the weight back, elbow close to hip. Push back, set it all the way down. Start again. Hike it back, stand up with the hips. Catch gently. You should not be smacking yourself. Push back, set it down. push back fast. Right here, get slow and gentle in the catch. Push back, touch down. Push back, slow and gentle in the catch. Push back, set it all the way down. We learn kettlebelling one drill at a time. We start with our two-hand deadlift, we go to our swing, we go to our single arm swing, we go to our hand-to-hand swing. We start learning the rack position. The rack position allows us to learn how to do a swing clean so that we can learn to not put the weight down. That is what separates kettlebells from everything else. Kettlebells are designed for endurance weightlifting, and humans are endurance monsters, so kettlebelling is a very good idea for most people. This drill helps us learn to pick up and put the kettlebell down properly. So this drill, unlike some other drills in this playlist, will be done forever. You can add start, stop to any clean, any snatch, any clean and press, or any reverse Turkish get-up patterns, which will come into this playlist in the future, all through working on this start-stop movement. Start by doing 3 on one side, do 3 on the other side, stand up, breathe. Let your heart rate come down and then repeat it again. We will build this into our clean and press in future videos.